that we're airing on. That would be Facebook, YouTube at Nuji's Nest, Melvin Bethia's page, and also Twitch. So to you, Cousin Skip.
Well, the term colorism was first introduced into the vernacular, if you will, by Alice Walker in a book that she wrote called In Search of Our Mother's Garden. Prior to that time, and I commonly use the term myself, being color struck. And that simply meant that people were preoccupied with the different shades of people within our group. It has morphed. It's always been an issue in the African American community. A lot of people choose their partners by the shades of their skin. It's a proven fact that within the broader community, that the shades of African Americans frequently impact our success in the broader community. It's been proven that dark-skinned women are given longer prison sentences than their light-skinned counterparts. And this discrimination starts young. If you're a dark-skinned girl, you are 3 times more likely to be suspended from school than your light-skinned peers. So, this is something that's been perpetrated since we worked in the master's house and out in the fields. We started to stratify ourselves, and that's where the whole issue began. W.E.B. Du Bois said in his well-known book, The Souls of Black Folks, the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. Well, it was then, and it still persists today.
Right. So do you think it's just as prevalent? Do you think it has dissipated any? Or what do you think?
I personally think it has dissipated. I think the broader community continues to perpetuate it at a greater degree than the African American community does.
Well, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Well, I don't think it's as overt as it was then, but I still think it's just as prevalent today. And at one point, it used to be more prevalent with women, right? The light skin against dark skin, good hair, short hair, all of that. But there are men that have an issue with light skinned men. You know what I'm saying? They,
right.
So you got that issue. You have that issue, and you have men that this is not a generalization, this is just some that prefer a woman that has a more exotic look or lighter skin, longer hair, more European features is more attractive than someone that is darker. You know what I mean? So I think it's just as prevalent. And having gone to an HBCU and have experienced that firsthand, I think it's just as prevalent, in my opinion.
Mel?
Well, no, I'd say that people like what they like. That's pretty much what it is. But I know that this does persist in our community, because I remember winning a contract at the Department of Education. Going down now, it was me with a co-tar, and she was a very fair-skinned, light-skinned woman from Virginia, the deep part of Virginia. And she told me, we went up on a rooftop, they had a rooftop restaurant at the top. And she told me, she said, I hope you tell Black A so-and-so that that I don't go for that. I barely even talk to people that dark anyway. I mean, I'm looking at her like, look at me. I was like, I'm extremely dark. And I explained to her, I was just like, that's real racist. And I said, because I'm dark. I said, but I'm a very good-looking man, so you can't blame me. You got to blame your creator for this. You know what I'm saying? God said I created you in my image. And he didn't create me in the image of a frog or a dog or a pig and nothing like that. So God had to be a handsome-looking guy if I'm created in his image. So with that being said, I was never ever color struck about that type of thing, or you light skin, or you this, or you that, or that type of thing. That never bothered me. But for a while, light skinned guys were dominating the media. If you can remember, I'll be sure, El DeBarge, Christopher Williams, all those people were dominating the movie theaters. They were dominating record sales, tickets, all that type of stuff. The only way we got back was with Wesley Snipes in that movie, New Jack City, when he stabbed Christopher Williams in the hand and said, "I never did like you, you pretty motherfucker," and stabbed him in his hands. And ever since then you saw Michael Jordan, you saw Keith Sweat, you saw all these dark-skinned brothers starting to come up on the scene, starting to rise up. You saw Puffy, you saw Biggie, you saw Tupac, you saw all of that. So it's always been a thing. And if you read the Willie Lynch speech, and I implore you to take the time to read this. If you can watch Housewives of America, you can take the time to read the Willie Lynch speech. They tell you to put the old against the young, the light against the dark, the black against the white, and make sure that whenever black people have problems, they always come to the white man to get help all the time. And that's what we've been doing. And they said that, and Willie Lynch said that this will last for hundreds of years. And it has. And it still goes on to this day. So
But when you say people like what they like, that's true. But that liking what you like, to some degree, was perpetuated by what we're talking about now, right?
no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I'm just saying. I think in my opinion, it's perpetuated by what we're talking about. And there are, and I definitely agree with you. Back in the day, in the '80s, it was Albie Shore, Christopher Williams, all of that, and some women liked them because, Elder Bar. Some women liked them because they had straight hair or whatever the situation was. But it still goes back to the thing that we're talking about. From slavery times, you had the darker slaves in the field, the lighter slaves in the house. So it's still the same thing. And I think that, like I said, it's maybe not as prevalent amongst guys as it is with women, but it's still there. There's still that undercurrent. There are men that think that because you're a lighter skinned woman, that you automatically prefer a lighter skinned man, or you got the blue eyes, you got the green eyes. Anything closer to looking like what you're not, and that goes both ways. Men do it and women do it. For whatever reason, if that's your preference, that's your preference. But I think it all still stems in what we're talking about. Still stems in what we're talking about. And unfortunately, we have been taught not to love ourselves in our natural state. Right. So that overarching colorism, it's just that perpetuates the inner hate that we've been taught to have to begin with. So that's just my opinion. It's my opinion.
Statistically, today, lighter skinned African Americans are more successful than darker skinned African Americans. Right. But within our own ethnic groups, we prefer middle complexion black people than light skinned people or dark skinned people.
Right.
Right. And I know I'm famous for telling one of my daughters, stop acting light skinned. You're acting real light skinned right now. I got a habit of saying that. I say it all the time to her.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Stop acting light skinned.
You're acting soft. You're acting light skinned. You need to buck up a little bit. I need you to buck up. You're acting light skinned. And it's just one of those type of things, because when I was in school, we used to always whoop light skinned guy's ass all the time. That was he just had it coming. Not because he did anything, it's just because
he was light skinned.
Yeah, because he light skinned. And we know he brews easy, so hey, we just hopped on him. So that's just what it was. So and maybe
go back. So Mel, take me back through what you just said. you told your daughter to stop acting light skinned. What does that mean? And the only reason I'm asking, because when I was in college, I was told to stop talking white. You're talking white. So when I hear you say stop acting light skinned, it brings me back to that. As if, and this is not you, but I remember talking to my mom about it, and she was like, when people say that, they're assuming that white people have a better vocabulary and talk better than black people. So it's kind of a backhanded slap. You know what I mean? Like, you think you're better because you talk white, which to me, we were taught to enunciate and pronounce our words, right? So when I hear you say, you said to your daughter, stop acting light skinned, what are
Stop
you
like,
saying
no,
light skinned people are weaker? Or I don't know. What are you saying?
yeah,
What are you saying?
they're definitely weaker. Every race on the planet that doesn't have melanin in their skin is a weaker race than a black
But a
race.
lighter skinned black person has melanin in their skin. So I
But no,
don't,
no, 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 no. They don't. But
okay.
when you don't, but when you're not brown skin or you're not dark, and when you go over to Egypt and Africa and different places like that, and you see those, and you see how dark those people are over there, you look at your own self and you be like, damn, somebody done lied to me. Somebody done lied to me. You
In
know,
reference to
You
what
got
then?
to unpack that though.
in,
You need to
in,
unpack that because
in reference to the color and the tone and the whole type of thing. You know what I
what
mean?
is that?
Oh,
What
This
are
and
you holding up?
this is come on, camera. Where
Come
am I?
back this way. Come back this way. Come back this. Keep going back. Keep going back to your right. There you go. Hold it up. Now go up.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. I can see it. Now we can see it.
This
Now
is
we
in
can see it.
Nigeria. This
Uh-huh.
this is a bleaching cream on a billboard.
Right.
This is not uncommon. Um,
Right.
India, which has really dark skinned people,
Right.
they sell more bleaching cream in
Than
India
anybody.
than any other country in the world. They don't want to be dark. They think there's a problem with that. But yes, I get your point. But in terms of being color struck or colorism or whatever that is, that's an emotion. That's a
That's a
mental thing,
mentality. Yeah.
right? Uh-huh.
That's
That
a
that
mentality.
that an individual has established. That's just a short step from white makes right.
Right.
right,
So that's something that we've added to our perspective. There's obviously not an inkling of truth in it, but for some reason, many of us have taken that and run with it. I think nowadays it's less prevalent because women and people in general have chosen to go more naturally in their presentation. And I
Right.
and
I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, and I think that is something that has helped people to avoid going down the rabbit hole of that particular discriminatory practice. Now, I don't
Right.
say that it's been erased. It certainly hasn't been erased. And it's been perpetrated by the out group a lot more than it has the inner group, but there is the reason that it's perpetrated more widely in the out
So
group.
so to
well,
your point, cousin Skip, yes, I agree with you that we've taken more on a natural approach of people are more appreciative of their natural state, but then it segues into another form of colorism or whatever you want to call it, where now you have the natural hair against the relaxed hair. You know what I'm saying? So it segues into that. So it may not. Yes, we're learning to love our natural state and all of that, which is a great thing. But then you have the divide against the natural hair and the straight hair. If you straighten your hair, you're trying to be European. If you don't, whatever. And then that segues into good hair versus bad hair. That segues into weave or not weave. You know what I'm saying? So although one aspect may dissipate, this three other aspects that's bubbling up to the top. So,
I think the attitudes about those things have
right.
changed greatly, because if you were born during the 50s, 40s, that kind of thing, being aware of one's complexion was real prevalent during that time,
Right.
um, your parents, you talked about, as you say, good hair and bad hair and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is any hair I've got is good hair, but
Right,
it's
but that's
the hair
not.
I've got anyway. But yeah, I think that even though it still persists, I think it's far less prevalent than
I
from
don't.
when it's come.
I don't know because even I mean down to people putting weaves in little babies' hair, toddlers' hair to give the impression of longer hair, straighter hair. I mean, if that's your child, you do what you want, but that's it's a perpetuation of a of something being better because your hair is longer and straighter. It's better, and some would say, and I've heard people say this, well, Nancy, you're just saying it because you have a lot of hair. That's totally irrelevant. That's totally irrelevant. I remember as a kid, long hair or not, we weren't wearing our hair out. Every Sunday you got that stuff, washed, straightened, and put in some plaits.
Hot iron or
So
whatever, yeah.
exactly. So I'm just saying we perpetuate that stereotype from when our kids are little. So
I
like I
don't
said,
disagree.
I still maintain one aspect dissipates, but that other aspect, it's bubbling up. So I don't know. Mel, you were going to say something. I'm sorry. You had a picture?
No, I can wait. You can wait there. Y'all go ahead. I'm listening.
No. That's all I had to say.
Um, I had posted it on my Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see it.
Yeah, I had posted on my page, and my thing about it is that I mean, it's all like television. Television promotes this vision of us seeing certain things, just like you would see on Good Times. You would see them praying to a white Jesus all the time,
Right.
you know, and just different things like that, and that's how you know how European people have taught us how to hate ourselves but love they will, and that's pretty much what we do, and we think that because we get a couple of dollars or we move ahead a little bit in the game, whatever, we think that they're going to love us and the monster's going to be about us and this, that, and other. Those people don't care about none of that. Those people don't care about none of that. Because if you get in a room if you got $10 million, you can get in a room with a whole bunch of people with $10 million. You just another person with $10 million. But when you get in a room with people who got 20 million, it's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the same thing, with the colorism, the whole colorism thing is the way you feel about yourself. But my thing about it is that it's not
Yeah.
what you're called, it's what you answer to. You know, if somebody hollering nigga, 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 and you turn around, you know, maybe they are talking to you. You know what I mean? Or you see a whole bunch of white people and you say cracker, 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 and they turn around. Well, maybe they are crackers. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you just never know. So it's not what you call, it's what you respond to in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I get that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's one of those type of things. So the whole colorism thing never ever bothered me. I've been called darky, porch monkey, jungle bunny. I've been called every black name that you can think of. You think that bothers me at the end of the day? No, it don't bother me at all. You know, and I know some people that I've gone in to do business with didn't even want to do business with me because I was black, but they knew they could make some of those big faces, so they would go ahead and do business with me anyway. So, and my thing about it is that you don't have to like anybody to do business, but you need to learn how to love yourself because you can't love nobody else until you learn to love yourself. self-hate is the worst thing in the world. And that's the problem that we have with this colorism, is that we got so much self-hate going on with
Mm-hmm.
ourselves that we can't pull up from out of that and say, well, you know what? Hey, I'm going to feel this way about myself, or I'm going to feel that way about myself. We just want to stick to that. And we don't read books. If you read books about W.E.B. Du Bois, um, Carter G. Woodson, if you read those books, The Miseducation of the Negro, all those books need to be read. They're still in circulation right now, but people just don't read them because I guess everybody down on their phone like this now. Everybody's on their phone like this, so they don't have time to pick up a book and read. They really don't. And shameless plug, they y'all know what I was going to do. Y'all need to go pick this up.
Lord
Y'all
Jesus.
go to my
No
website.
matter what we do, it's not going to stop. That shameless plug. It's
It's
not
shameless
going to.
plug. Never going to stop. Always advertising the brand. Always advertising the brand. But no, you're definitely right. When it comes down to hair, I heard that good thing about good hair and bad hair and all the type of stuff like that, which is crazy. So
Mel,
yeah.
when you were a little boy, you had this soft, curly hair, you
Yes,
know.
I did. Yes, I
You
did.
you you had what was referred to at the time as good hair.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
There's a poem called Who's Passing for Who? This
right.
poem was written by Langston Hughes in the early 1930s. And it's about exactly what it says. There's
Right.
a guy who brings what he thinks are his white friends into a restaurant where a lot of black intellectuals hang out. Well, a couple of the intellectuals are really riding these two white people that have been brought by this black guy. Well, in the restaurant, there's a black man that stands up and he clocks his wife. Well,
Wow.
the red-haired white guy gets up and beats the dude up because he think he beat up a white woman. Okay. Well, the guy
Wow.
tells him she ain't white. That's my wife. So now they're having the conversation. Well, are you only defending her because you thought you were defending a white woman? Blah da 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 da.
Right.
Well, he leaves the gathering, and the two white people who are left, they're both from Iowa. So they lean over to the table and they tell the two black intellectuals, you don't
Wow.
have to you don't have to tell anybody this, but we're not white either. We're just passing for white to see
Right.
if we can get away with it.
Wow.
Okay. At the end of the evening, they get in their taxi cab and they say, oh, by the way, we're not black. We're not passing for anybody. We just wanted to see what your reactions would be. Okay. So now you don't know what happened. You don't know if they were passing or if they were not.
So Skip, we have a comment from Tracy. It's on the screen. I think it's to Mel's point about not the whole attitude not bothering you, what you said previously. So she's saying it's not just about bothering you; it's also about holding people accountable who are colorist. And then her second point was um, speaking about hair. Why do a lot of black men prefer women with straight hair? This really happens to black women with long hair. This really happens to black women with long hair. Can you all see the comments?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can
Okay,
see.
okay,
Oh,
okay. So those are the
okay.
two comments from YouTube from Tracy. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm thinking that first of all, if it comes down to long and straight hair, or if that's what you like, that's what you
Right.
like. If you like
Right.
Asian women, that's okay to like an Asian woman, and you're a black guy. If you like straight hair on a woman, that's cool. If you like curly hair, natural curly hair on a woman, that's cool. It's what you like. And some of it really doesn't boil down to colorism. Sometimes it boils down to preference. But I do know some people who probably are watching podcasts who feel because they made it, they think they get them a white woman, and they think that that's a trophy to them. But it's really not, because when they're riding the car together, it's looking like he's her chauffeur, or either he carjacked her.
Oh
So,
my God, it does
with
not
that
look
being,
like that.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So with that being said, these are friends of mine. These are friends, and I mean, you gotta. I mean, you can't legislate nobody's heart. You know, and whoever you fall in love with, you just fall in love with them, whether they black, white, green, whoever they are. That's just what it is. And the whole colorism thing with us is because we hate ourselves. We don't know how to love ourselves. And you'll never have anything you don't respect. You'll never have anything you do not respect. You'll never have, if you don't respect money, you'll never have it. If you don't respect the man, you'll never have it. If you don't respect food, you'll never have it. If you don't have a house, I mean, you just won't. Hold on, man, we got a caller. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to
Hey.
clarify, hey, specifically, men that are dating women that could either keep their hair natural or go straight. What I'm saying is that they often prefer that the
Yep.
woman keep their hair straight. So I'm not talking about
Yep.
friends, because that's cute. But they're men. I happen to have hair like my sister, who's there, Nancy. I can wear my hair natural, wear it straight, and oftentimes when we go out, it's like, okay, why don't you wear your hair straight? Oh my gosh, I love your hair curly, but I really like it straight. So why do men
Right.
do that? That drives me crazy a little bit.
Right. And a lot of times they're the woke brothers, the brothers that's woke.
Right.
My African queen. Yeah. But wear your hair straight though.
Right.
Those are
Sleeping giants.
they certainly aren't woke. If,
Right.
if they're asking you not to be natural, if that's your inclination. Now, a man who wants a woman to go straightened out, if that's easier for her to do, and
Right.
that's something that she wants to do,
Let that
that's
be her choice.
right. That's her choice,
Right.
and that's up to her. But I don't have any right. I don't have any right to tell you or ask you, boy, I wish you wouldn't wear your hair natural like that. Why don't you go get that hot comb and straighten that out? That's my shortcoming.
Cousin Skip, to the caller's point, and also to your point, there's are men, and I'm talking specifically about men, and this is not everyone. There are men that when your hair is curly, they're quick to say, "Oh, your hair looks nappy." Well, what is nappy? What does that mean? You can't tell a difference between curls, the textures of curls, loose curls, tight curls. So what she was saying is definitely the truth. It is so true. It's ridiculous. And to that point, most natural, well, I'm not going to say most, I'll just say in my experience, we get more compliments from white men about our natural hair than we do from black men.
Right.
Just saying. And that's sad. That's
Because
sad.
because they want you to be a belly woman, Missy. That's
No,
what it is.
I'm gonna call bullshit on that, Mel. I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I'm gonna call bullshit.
Yeah.
No, it's the same way when men they try to. This is the thing that always cracks me up. Well, no, I don't date white women, but you date the closest thing to a white woman because she has long hair, straight hair. You know what I'm saying? So it goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Exactly, and it was like that whole idea of it. They don't want to admit it, but I could feel it. It's that you are being ignored. It's that you're being ignored. It's like the closer they are, the straight hair is more acceptable. I want to see my woman with straight hair. A lot of black women don't have long hair. My black woman does, and that's closer to the white woman. That's what I feel, because that's exactly what you're saying is the honest to goodness truth. And then the last thing about the colorism piece of it, there 100% still is colorism, and the worst of it is inside of our race. where light skinned people treat dark skin different.
Right. The issue is in-house.
Right. You're right.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm in corporate America, and I can even see it in interviews. And don't let that dark skinned sister wear her hair naturally. Like that's like an added like layer to, okay, she's gonna be too Afrocentric. So there is not a
Right.
side of her race.
Like she coming straight out of Wakanda. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. The line is open up 202-227-6500. Cousin Skip, before you start, there's a do you want to read the next comment from Tina Matthews, I think, or Mel, either one of you? It's on the screen.
Matthew, it says, I'm grateful that my experience have been different, meaning most of the men I associated with love natural hair. It says they say it's a sign of confidence that the woman is
bucks the norm.
Yeah, bucks the norm. Okay.
Do y'all agree with that?
Well, Tina, I'm glad it's working out for you.
I definitely appreciate these sentiments, because many people feel this way. That's one of the I guess you can call it a problem, but it's certainly one of the facets and features of being African American.
Right.
We range from the lightest light to the darkest dark. And
we're a rainbow coalition. Right.
So, if you want to find somebody to discriminate against, you can always discriminate against yourself while other people are discriminating against you. You can find somebody within your own group to discriminate against because you've assumed part of that white supremacy attitude.
Right, exactly.
That's all that's about,
And a lot of people think, whether it be male or woman or female, that if you are a certain complexion, light or middle of the road, and you and say you have straight hair or you have what they consider good hair, which I don't think is any such thing, you have to be mixed with something. You just can't be black, right? In order for you to be beautiful or whatever, you have to be mixed with something. Because I was actually told this by one of my former colleagues, because black people's hair don't grow like that. You have to be mixed with something. Why can't I just be black? Why is just being black not good enough? You know what I mean? So you have those issues. And guys go through it too.
It's obvious who we're mixed with. That ain't no secret,
right. But being mixed with something doesn't make me more beautiful or less beautiful.
Of course.
Or more attractive or less attractive. Right. And that to me goes to that self-hatred. She can't be just a beautiful black woman. She got to be mixed with something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why?
Typically, when people are saying you're beautiful, it's typically the European version of beauty that they're ascribing your beauty or your handsomeness to. Right. It's that type of thing.
Right. Hey, listen, callers, we would like to hear from some men. We hear from women, and that's great. Keep calling, keep giving us feedback. But we'd really like to hear from some guys. So if you guys can call in 202-227-6500. I keep looking up every time I say the number because I think I'm saying it wrong. Or send us a chat. We'd love to hear what you have to say, because I know this affects men as well as women. Maybe not to the degree it affects women, but I know that men are affected by this too. So I think this is a fantastic topic, because I think the only way our community heals, we have to heal from the inside out, and this whole light skin versus dark skin, this quote unquote exotical, which somebody needs to explain what that word means. Exotical. Is there such a word? Is that a word?
I don't know about exotical, but I know
exotic. I've heard people say she's exotical. Either she's exotic or she's not.
And then what turned it into an adverb.
Anyway. Right. And even more, and then what does that mean? But then you have the flip side. If you're not, go Africa with the kente cloth and the head wraps, you're not black enough. You know what I mean? So you have that layer too. So it's kind of, it's a to me, it's a sad state of affairs.
Okay, I got journalists on Facebook. It says choice beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I
That's a
agree.
fact.
That's
That's
very,
the
very much true.
bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, that is the bottom line. But I'm just saying, it's in the eye of the beholder. But don't, if your preference, say for example, if your preference is light skin, long hair, let that be your preference. Don't look down on somebody that's not light skinned with long hair.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or don't cast disparaging comments or commentary about people that's not light skinned with long hair. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Your preference is your preference.
Well, I'm old. My preference is 800 credit score. So that's my preference.
Okay. Okay.
The comment that you're making about a person preferring light skin, medium skin, dark skin individual, that would mean that they have enough in their thought process to take that into consideration when they're choosing. You know, they that means that they need to choose based on their preference and not to discriminate against anyone else. But typically, when someone is choosing based on that type of preference, they are
one second.
excluding
Hold on, let
another.
him. Uh-huh.
They're
Yeah.
excluding another group of people for a reason, you know.
Right.
So
Because
it's
our preferences are developed from something, right?
right. So it's going to be difficult to ask them to have their choice, but also have the good sense and the goodwill not to discriminate against another group of people.
Right.
Caller.
No, you said there's a caller? Okay.
Yeah, we got a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, y'all, this is Tina. I just wanted to say, I'm glad that
Tina, what's the last name?
Rottweiler German Shepherd. I'm glad that we're having this conversation.
I hope you look like one, but go ahead.
Tina's funny.
Very, very important. And I hope as a people, we begin to understand that, like Cousin Skip said earlier, our people come in such, we're so diverse. We cover every spectrum. There are Black people that naturally have blue eyes, blonde hair, long hair, straight hair, curly hair. We limit ourselves to a specific stereotype, not realizing that we cover the spectrum as far as physically. So I just wanted to say that and tell you guys I'm glad that you're having this conversation tonight. That's all. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Tracy says choice is in the eye of the beholder. Sounds so politically correct. And then she said, everybody having a choice is great, but why is it straight versus natural hair so often? Let's keep it a buck.
Tell her, Tracy. Who said that? Tracy?
Tracy, yeah.
Tracy, that sounds so ghetto. It sounds like you're smoking on a Newport and you're drinking out of a red cup right now.
You were stupid. You were stupid.
Yeah, she's drinking out of a red cup right now, and she's drinking brown liquor. My thing about it is that we're in 2021, and matter of fact, it's good that we are having this conversation, but we shouldn't be having this conversation. It's great that we're having this conversation, but it's stupid that we're having this conversation because we're still worried about our own self-hate that we have towards ourselves, and we don't realize that it's nothing but self-hate. That's all it is. It's no more, no less. I don't like myself because I'm not 6'3", or I don't like myself because I'm fat, or I don't like myself because I'm skinny. But I'm going to project that off on you because I can project that off on you because it's easier for you to deal with my demons than for me to deal with them. So
she said, Tracy said to you, Mel, She doesn't smoke or drink. Please respond to my point. It's valid. And go.
What the hair thing?
No, when you made the comment about she smoking a Newport and drinking brown liquor.
Well,
Her last comment was everybody has a choice. Everybody has a choice is great, but why is it strange? I'm sorry. Why is it straight versus natural hair so often? Let's keep it a buck. And then that's when you responded about the Newports and the brown, black, green liquor, whatever.
Well, she can say whatever she don't do. I mean, we all got.
No. She's saying respond to her point that her point is valid.
I mean, no, her point is valid. She does make a valid point, but it's all about choice. If you like a woman with straight hair, you just like a woman with straight hair. If you like a woman with curly hair, you like a woman with curly hair. It's what you like. If you can afford a Bentley, buy a Bentley. If you can afford a Ferrari, buy a Ferrari. If you gotta get a Hyundai, get a Hyundai. You get what you want. That's what you do. You get what you want. And my thing about it is that for these guys that think that these women are trophy women, they're not. They're not trophies. They're not at all. So,
but here's the thing: buying a car, and making a conscious decision to prefer light skin, long hair versus dark skin, curly hair. That's different. I wouldn't compare that to buying a car, because those choices are like those. It's not. I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same. I mean, buying a Bentley versus a Hyundai, it doesn't mess with people's psyche. You know what I mean? Well, maybe some people might, but so exactly. I don't think that's.
Some guys might like a light skinned woman. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's okay. That's okay. I don't think the problem is what people like. I think the problem is when what they like and their preference is based off of one being better than the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hold on, we got a new message. Hold on. Oh, we got a couple of new messages. All right. So, okay, we got one new message. Somebody can read that. I just put it up on the, what you call it? Cousin Skip, can you read that? Or are you?
Yeah, she says, thank you for the comment, ma'am. She says, I'm a dark-skinned woman with short hair. What I hate is when people say you're pretty to be black. I get it. Why can't I just be pretty? Adding that to be black is an insult. Well, of course it is. It's a
backhanded comment.
It's a backhand compliment, right? Which is not a compliment at all. These are still stereotypes and things that have been perpetuated in our psyches since we were brought here.
Right.
And it's still perpetuated by the out group and the in group. And I really don't see any end to this at all, because as long as there are forces that continue to stratify us as a group, we're going to continue to accept the benefits of the stratification and perpetuate them ourselves.
But so to your point, Cousin Skip, can we not expect personal accountability? Can we not expect us as a people to do better in that arena?
No.
Can we not expect that? And why not? Because granted, there's outside forces, but there's inside stuff too. A lot of us know. I mean, a lot of us have heard and or read about the Willie Lynch letter. We've heard the stories. You can Google it, YouTube it. Some of us have read, Baldwin, W.E. Du Bois, all of those things. But at some point, we have to take personal accountability for how we treat each other. If Mel, just going back to what you said earlier, if Mel is saying the darker you are, you're the stronger one, you know what I mean? The light-skinned ones are weaker ones. We're still perpetuating that negativity within our own culture. You know what I mean? I've never heard that. Just because I've never heard it don't make it not true, but I'm just saying I've never heard it. So that's perpetuating light against dark once again. I don't I don't know. I think at some point we got to look inward. Granted, there's forces outward, but at some point we got to look inward and take personal responsibility and accountability. Learn to love each other, love ourselves, love each other, regardless of the complexion or the state we're in. So I don't know. My question is, like I said, should we or should we not hold ourselves accountable?
Well, sure, we have.
But how do you hold yourself accountable?
By stop perpetuating this stuff. Stop perpetuating it. Stop perpetuating the light skin against dark skin. The darker stronger, the lighter weaker. The long hair is better. The curly hair is not. That's the stuff we need to stop perpetuating. The skinny girl's better. The fat girl's not. Stop perpetuating it. Stop perpetuating it.
I will never ever stop perpetuating the fact that I'm glad that I'm dark. I will.
Nobody's saying that. That's not what I said.
Hold on, let me finish. I will never ever stop perpetuating that because I'm proud to be dark. I'm proud of my color. I live in a country, in a society where they treat people of my color swinging from trees and ropes and everything else, and been mistreated the whole time that we've been here. And this thing has gone around the world. And I know for a fact that I am from the original man. I know that they didn't say that God pulled man from the sky. He got him out of the ground. He pulled him from dirt. So, and dirt is black and dirt is brown. No matter what color dirt is, it's still a dark shaded color. So my thing about it is that I don't have self-hatred for myself. I don't have self-hatred for anybody that's light skinned or whatever. It just is what it is. But two, you learn how to love yourself. The thing about it is that people don't have self-love. And when you don't have self-love for yourself, you do a lot of crappy stuff to other people. I know.
So how do you get to a point to have self-love? How do you get, like, share, I mean, what's your thoughts? How do you get to a point to have self-love? Because at the end of the day, everybody's not as strong as the next person, right? So how do you get to, wait a minute, how do you get to a place, hold on one second, how do you get to a place of self-love if you're trying to develop self-love, but then you have people inside your circle perpetuating the stereotypes, people outside the circle perpetuating the stereotypes. So how does a person, and this is a question, this is just a question, how would you, if somebody were to ask you, Mel, I'm working on myself, I'm working on self-love, what would you tell them? Like, how do you get to that place to begin the healing process so that those outside and inside forces don't adversely affect you as much? Like, what would you tell them? That's the question.
First of all, I would tell them you need to read more. You need to read books by James Baldwin. You need to read books by Maya Angelou. You need to read books by all the greats. That's who you need to read books by, because your existence didn't start here in America. We were here thousands of years before. Master Moose was the richest man on the planet. King James was one of the richest men on the planet. So I would tell them you need to educate yourself. Stop trying to wear a label all the time and put your own label on. Do your own thing. You know what I mean? But you have to learn how to love yourself, and you have to learn how to respect yourself. And it's all about respect. I have friends who are light skinned, and we say light skin jokes and we say dark skin jokes, but we mean nothing by it. And a lot of people say there's a lot of truth spoken in the joke, but and they get real touchy and they get real personal behind stuff. And that's why some people, you have to know where to cut them off at and where to cut them on at. So
well, I definitely think you got to know your audience.
Say what?
You definitely, to your point, you got to know your audience, like who you can say what around.
Right. You gotta know when to cut them off, when to cut them on, and because everybody who came up with you are not meant to go with you. So, with that being said, I would tell somebody, as far as this self-hate thing going, you gotta work on yourself. And my thing about it is that I can't save everybody. I'm not trying to save every light skinned dude. I'm not trying to save every dark skinned dude. I'm not trying to do that. That's not what I was put here for. That's not one of my gifts. You know what I mean? It's just not one of my gifts. So
Yeah. So hold on, somebody. There's
yeah.
another question.
Mel and Nuji, we
Hold on one
think
second. Oh, hold on, that's something totally different. Okay, all right. Okay, so go ahead, Mel. What you were
no,
you were
Tina.
reading something?
Yeah. Tina wrote. I think I did accept your friend. Oh, that
Yeah,
was
that was yeah. I think somebody sent. Okay, there's something else. Tracy said, Mel, the verb perpetuating doesn't work there. I don't remember. I don't remember what was said. Being proud of being dark is way different than perpetuating stereotypes. Oh, when you were talking about being proud of being, you'll never apologize for being dark. That statement that you made, I think that's what she was referring to.
oh, but you know, whether you're light, dark, white, whatever you are, you have to learn how to love yourself. And when you learn how to love yourself, you can deal with everybody else. See,
Yeah.
the reason why we're having this conversation about light skin versus dark skin and straight hair versus nappy hair because we haven't
Wait,
learned
stop
how
saying nappy. What is
you know nappy hair or whatever is because we have not learned how to love ourselves. If I love me, I love my beautiful bald head. I used to have nice soft wavy hair, but I got rid of that in my first divorce. But that's not important. But my thing about it is that I don't mind being a bald headed guy. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me because I'm in tune with myself. I'm in tune with who I am. And once you're in tune with yourself, all that outside distraction that's on the outside, that's not inside of you. And my thing about it is that what we're not understanding and we're not putting out to the people is that you don't worry about what's going on outside of you and what's going on around you. Only thing that counts is what's happening on the inside of you. And that's where you gotta go from there. And I don't know all of a sudden who I don't know who the color police is or who they are or whatever. But if you like light skin, dark skin, white, and like I said, it's all about preference. But I don't like when people try to get women from different nationalities and make them a trophy over black women. That I don't like.
How can you tell when a man falls in love with another woman and he's using her as a trophy? How can you tell when he really loves her or he's
just right? Good question. Good question.
You can kind of tell the way he may carry himself. You may go with some of the things that he may say out of his mouth, or you can if you ever sit down and have dinner with them, you can see how that whole conversation flows and go from there. And I tell people all the time, when you interracially date or when you're dating somebody who's extremely light skinned, Nancy, I would
I'm not
say
extremely light skinned.
I would no
Go ahead.
I'm just naming my people off. And because of Skip, I would say sit down and watch Roots with that person and see how they act. See how they react. Sit down and watch Roots with them. I'll sit down and watch our Django with them. There's always gonna be a Candyland nigga. You know, I'm just saying. So it's one of
Really?
those things, right? Like if you came tomorrow with a white guy and say, "This is my boyfriend," you know I'm gonna give you the business. You know you're gonna get the business from me. So what?
I my thing is you can't. I mean, I I can't even say I agree with what you just said, but
Mel,
again,
you
you're
know,
perpetuating a
I
stereotype.
think under these particular circumstances, you know, mom used to say, "I love the people who love me," and
That's fair.
You have a caller?
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't begrudge anybody for the people that they love.
No.
I have found that in my time of need, the people that I thought cared for me the most, they weren't anywhere to be found. But that one that you would think is off brand showed up.
Right.
Anyway, that's
Right.
not my thing is the issue that we have with colorism is not one that we created. It is one that has been drilled into us to help us appreciate our sense of beauty for in the main, okay, is a European version of beauty. And that European version of beauty is white and it's thin. Okay. So whatever version of that we can find within our group, that's what's
Right.
beautiful to us. It's
Exactly.
loving dark as a people. That's a really recent thing, and it's certainly a rare thing still.
Right.
During
Right.
the Harlem Renaissance, these people who profess to be the intellectuals of our group. This is a picture of a woman. Okay, tell me how to do this.
Okay, go to your right. Go to your right. Go to your right. You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go up. Go up. Go up.
Okay.
Right there. Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Go down a little bit.
Right.
Okay. There we go. Right there. Right there.
The
Right there. Right there.
the woman is Nell Larson. Her mother is Dane, and her father was Caribbean. This is an award ceremony where these people are being offered awards by the African American Methodist Episcopal Church. This is in the 1930s. These are African awards. Well, you can see, even though this is a black and white picture, you see what most of them black people look like, okay?
Right.
This woman wrote a book called Passing. She passed for white for years.
Right.
She was never able to wrap her mind around her identity, and she ultimately committed suicide because she just couldn't get it together,
Right.
She had a sister who was totally white because her father left her mother when she was 2. She wanted to leave her sister $35,000. Her sister claims she ain't never heard of this person before. Okay, so this is the relationship of color, and this is somebody who is related to you by blood, who is denouncing any knowledge of you. So when you have these as the examples, it's difficult to break out of this type of thinking when these are your examples. Most of these people who were the intellectuals, they called themselves the talented 10th. Okay. These are supposedly the brightest of the African Americans. It included people like Marcus Garvey, W.B. Du Bois, Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was a real light-skinned man,
Right, exactly.
I got on my wall right here.
Yeah, but during that time, black wasn't in vogue. They wanted to represent their people, but they weren't particularly trying to embrace dark.
Right.
They were trying to embrace the group. But that being dark, that's something that African American people have always shunned, and that's just in our psyche.
Right. I mean, I'm all for loving yourself and loving your people, and I get all of that.
You have to.
Yeah, you do. But I just think that there's some personal responsibility, because I think we perpetuate, yes, there's outside forces and influences, but we perpetuate a lot of the self-hate. Whether it's ingrained, it's an innate thing that we do and not aware, but we perpetuate it. We say, you know, like for example, you want the Afrocentric women, right? Which is fine. You want that. But she got braids, but that braids is an extension of is extensions, right? So is she quote unquote, and I'm not saying she is or she isn't, but is she quote unquote the natural woman? As opposed to what Mel said, somebody with natural, what he said was nappy hair, which I can't stand that word. I really can't stand that word. But anyway, as opposed to somebody with natural hair, that's their hair. Is she less Afrocentric than the other one with the braids that, you know, that's not her hair, that's added on? You know what I'm saying? So it's we perpetuate a lot of this craziness within our own community. You know, I mean, I'm proud to be Black. I love myself. I love my people. But at some point, there has to be personal accountability. There just has to be. There's no getting around personal accountability. We can blame who we need to blame for starting it and perpetuating it, but we need to deal with what we perpetuate because we're too intelligent. There's too much free information to continue to perpetuate this craziness, in my opinion. It's just too much. Somebody else, Tia said, people get hung up on appearances and images of what society depicts is best and have us bleaching our skin, wearing the longest wig they can buy and the biggest eyelashes you've ever seen. I'm going to say amen and amen and amen again for the people in the back. And for the people in the back.
I will say true. I will say true. I will say true.
Yes.
I will say true.
I am so tired of seeing Rapunzel in the store. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm sorry.
I'm not. It's just not that heavy for me, you know, because I can walk in a store with a girl and she'll look at another girl and she'll be like, "Oh, she has fake breasts or she has butt injections." We don't care about that, you know. Some men may care about it, but generally we don't care about that. And why are you so far over there in that aisle on what that woman has and what she's got going on? It makes no difference. Pick the apples up and let's go. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you why they probably make comments like that, honestly. And I'm just saying because I've heard women say this. The reason why a lot of them make comments like that is because some men talk about they want a natural woman, yada, 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 but their first choice is the woman that's the least natural of all. And I'm not saying it's right, but that's where a lot of those comments come from. You know, at some point, I guess you just got to make up your mind. But I think that's where some of those comments come from. That's based on what I've heard. Now, it's what I've heard.
No, I think you got a valid point. I think you got
yeah. And I think, you know, my thing is you love who you love. That's my position. You love who you love. But just don't, because your preference is one thing, don't downgrade or diminish someone else that may not be your preference. And that's what I see happens a lot. You know what I mean? Whether it's a Black guy that wants to date a white woman, okay, fine, date who you want. You're dating a white woman, but then you look down on Black women as if your mama and your sisters and them ain't Black. Love who you love, but don't, because that's who you choose, that doesn't make that choice better than, you know what I'm saying? Somebody that may look like you. So I think that helps continue the perpetuation of the crazy, you know? So it's we got all aspects of this thing that's crazy. And I go back to my main point. When do we start being accountable? When do we start holding ourselves accountable for what we perpetuate? We can't control what other people perpetuate, but when do we hold ourselves accountable for what we perpetuate? And we got a hand in this too. So,
of course, right. We're the primary reason it continues to be perpetuated.
Right.
This was a good topic. In fact, I think we've come up with another one by virtue of it, but that's another conversation.
Right. Because I'll tell you, like, for example, like to Tia, Tia that made the comment about people say, "Oh, you're pretty because you're dark." People will say to me, "Oh, you're a pretty girl. You must be mixed with something." That's a slap in the face. That's an absolute slap in the face. You know what I mean? And I think it's just sad. And I'll give a quick story really quick. Me and Tia were actually in Pennsylvania, and we went into this shop in a predominantly white area. Now, Tia has very, very short hair close to the scalp. Beautiful girl. And I got Mufasa going on, right? So I got the whole Mufasa mane going on. So we walk in this restaurant, and when I tell you, their heads turned. They didn't know if they were like that. They must be way too ethnic. You know what I'm saying? Coming up in here. But again, she's pretty because she's dark skinned. I must be pretty because I'm mixed with something. And that's not coming from people outside. That's coming from people inside. That's coming from people that look like me and you. Oh, you light skin, you don't have to worry about it because you got long hair. Oh, you don't have to. So it's a perpetuation. And it's, again, I go back to my point, and ain't nobody answered my question. When do we hold ourselves accountable? That's my question.
Well, until we do hold ourselves accountable, this won't change. We'll just continue to talk about this. But
Right.
Personal responsibility is personal responsibility.
Right.
Now, if you want to take up a platform and go out in the community and have this conversation, I think if it's not a conversation in the community, it's not going to change, because
Right.
one
If we don't start talking about it.
Right. One person changing their thinking isn't going to change a bunch of people,
Right.
and somebody will see you with a person and draw conclusions based upon what you look like together,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well,
Callers, we're going to open the lines one last time before we close. The number is 202-227-6500. Call in. We love to talk to you. Send us a chat. We can see everybody's chat all at one time. So, but we're going to leave the lines open for another maybe 3 minutes or so. So feel free to call in. It's a pretty good conversation. It's a good conversation. It's a great topic. And like Cousin Skip said, one person talking about it's not going to really make a difference. But if we can all collectively start having these conversations within our own homes, because a lot of it goes on within the homes. You got a lighter sister versus a darker sister. Sometimes that's perpetuated, in that. So I think until we start having those conversations, it's going to stay the same. I think there's another comment.
Did that happen in your house, Nancy? Because you got a lot of sisters.
No, it actually doesn't. And and my siblings, and they could attest to this, we're like a rainbow coalition. My one sister is very, very light. Her hair used to turn blonde in the front when she was little. I have another sister that's dark skinned, and then we got all shades in between. So, it is what it is. And the youngest and the second to the youngest, they look just alike. They're literally totally two different shades. So, we never were taught that way. You know what I mean? It just didn't go on.
But I tell you all the time, Nancy, don't always tell you about your hair all the time. Don't say you got the best head of hair that I've ever seen. You and a friend of mine in Baltimore, Chris, don't always tell you that you get the best head of hair that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I get that.
I didn't say I wasn't talking about who you got that from. So you got it from me.
Okay. Like I said, I heard you. Yes, you have said that. You have mentioned that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. And I don't call it nappy either.
You just called hair nappy a minute ago. I mean, that's been your word of choice.
That was a minute ago. That was a minute ago.
Yeah.
Let it go. I let it go. Let it go.
Okay, we got another comment. This is centuries in the making. I think it's going to take centuries to change it. That was from Tia about the perpetuation of the negative stereotypes.
Right.
So
this is some really deeply ingrained stuff.
It's really ingrained. It's almost like in the DNA at this point.
Well, my thing about it, if you love yourself, you gotta love yourself. You gotta love.
But you gotta get there, though. You gotta get there.
You gotta love yourself. You should come out the womb loving yourself. Not worried about what the rest of the world is putting down, or what the rest of the world is putting on you. You gotta learn to love yourself. And if you
came out the womb loving themselves, man? Who came out the womb?
You have to remember that there's the environment.
Right. There's factors that play into this.
Right. My thing about it is that we would not have the great people like Langston Hughes and Maya Angelou and all those type of people. And these people were not your honest people. Malcolm X was a pimp. Maya Angelou was a pimp. and they changed who they were to become something else different. They got rid of that. They got rid of that self-hatred. So that low self-esteem, and people with low self-esteem hate people with high self-esteem, and people with high self-esteem hate people with low self-esteem.
That's not true.
That's just the way
Not
it is.
true. It's not true. And here's the other thing that's not true.
Hold on for a minute. I'm about to speak for me.
Okay.
I know
Can we take this off?
What's that?
Yeah. Can we take it off? I know for me, I don't jive well with people who have low self-esteem about themselves. I don't jive well with them because it's like putting a pigeon with an eagle. It ain't gonna work. You've never seen it. You never seen an elephant swat flies. You never seen an elephant swat flies, and you never will, because he's too big for that. And so once your mindset gets big and your mindset starts to grow, you're not worried about light skin and dark skin and all that type of stuff like that.
That's not true.
But
I'm just saying I don't agree. Let me say that.
My thing about it is that why are you worried about somebody else being light skinned instead of you worried about your pretty caramel complexion?
Yeah.
What difference does it make? Can you change it from being light skinned? Can you stop?
No, that's not. It's not my. Listen, I don't have an issue. I wanted to speak to one point. We're going to wrap it up, but I wanted to speak to one point real quick because we're going to wrap it up. Everybody that's doing great things don't necessarily have high self-esteem. They don't necessarily not deal with depression. You got a lot of greats that have done amazing things that have killed themselves because of depression and other things. So I think we shouldn't make that assumption. That's all I'd say about that. We can't really make that assumption. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for calling in and giving us your opinion, giving us your feedback. We're hoping to have another podcast soon. We're going to throw around some titles. Send us in some suggestions. We're glad to take them. Just tune in again. Same bat channel, same bat station. No, just joking.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
And I want to tell everybody, since we're ending it, I do look forward to doing another show with you guys. And also, too, take this from Paul Lawrence Dunbar: let no man drag me so low as to make me hate him. Learn to love yourself.
Amen.
All right. Thank you. Okay, bye.